Let's be honest. It hurts when your phone goes completely silent, when the people you considered close suddenly seem too busy, and you are walking through a painful season, feeling like absolutely no one understands. In that crushing quiet, it is incredibly easy to conclude that God has forgotten you, or that your isolation is the result of a mistake you've made. But consider the possibility that He has intentionally pulled you aside. Perhaps this distance is a deliberate act of protection. This period of isolation is often what Scripture calls the spiritual wilderness, a rigorous process of divine preparation. It moves through 3 distinct stages: extraction, detox, and finally, the forge. Identifying which stage you are currently navigating provides a map through the struggle. It transforms this difficult season into a targeted period of growth, ensuring you emerge with the specific tools required for your next calling. We live in a generation drowning in noise. We wake up to alerts in our earbuds, scroll through a constant barrage of opinions on our social media feeds, and sit alone with our own anxious thoughts. This constant input makes the human soul incredibly loud. When our internal environment is that crowded, the still, small voice of God becomes nearly impossible to distinguish. To fix this, God often quiets our surroundings by force. Think about the prophet Elijah in 1 Kings 19. He was exhausted, sitting completely isolated in the wilderness. While he was out there, a shattering wind tore the mountains apart, followed by a massive earthquake, and then a roaring fire. But Scripture notes that God was not in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire. He was in the gentle, quiet whisper that followed. The practical step for you in this first stage is to resist the urge to numb the quiet. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone, sit down and give God 10 uninterrupted minutes of absolute silence. Simply say, "Lord, I'm here. I'm listening." Meeting God without interruption requires this level of silence. This is a necessary extraction, pulling you away from the static so that His whisper becomes the loudest thing in your life. Once the noise stops, the silence can feel overwhelming. We frequently use constant social stimulation and a packed schedule to hide our own unhealed wounds. When the calendar clears, our hidden insecurities and fears finally have the space to surface. Bypassing this detox leads to spiritual burnout. It results in believers attempting to serve everyone around them while running on a completely empty spiritual tank, eventually causing the heart to crash. Even Jesus modeled the need for this detox. Despite the demands of the crowds and the pressure to perform miracles, He regularly chose to walk away, withdrawing to lonely places to pray alone with the Father. This stage requires you to surrender the false identities you've built around the opinions of others. You must allow the solitude to reveal the person God is actually shaping you into. This phase forces you to stop the constant movement, so God can replace your deep exhaustion with His quiet strength. It reveals that the soul isn't tired of serving, it is simply tired of rushing, which brings us to the final stage of the journey. While the wilderness is often avoided, it is the specific environment God uses to build the character of His leaders. Moses spent 40 days completely alone with God on Mount Sinai. When he descended, his face visibly glowed from the encounter. David spent years running for his life, hiding in isolated caves. That brutal environment became a sanctuary, giving him the space to write the deeply intimate psalms that have sustained believers for centuries. John the Baptist was shaped by the harsh, barren desert rather than a comfortable palace, preparing his voice to declare the Messiah's arrival. Isaiah 30:15 tells us exactly how this works. In quietness and trust is your strength. Real endurance comes from the ability to be still, even when you aren't surrounded by a supportive crowd. This final stage burns away the shallow parts of your walk. It forges unshakable spiritual roots that will allow you to stand firm regardless of the storms that come in the next season. Take a breath and look around your room. This quiet environment is the specific workshop where God is refining your character and preparing your heart for the responsibilities of your next calling. Psalm 34:18 promises that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. He is actively present in your current isolation. This season is a purposeful part of your story, God is holding you together and drawing you near to ensure you are ready for exactly what is coming next. The endurance you have built in this desert provides a stability the world cannot offer. Because you have learned to lean on Him in the silence, you can walk forward with the confidence of someone who has already seen the battle won through Christ. Walk forward like you believe it. Drop a comment below saying, "Lord, teach me to be still," and share this video with another believer who feels lost in the wilderness right now. Let them know their struggle has a profound divine purpose.
'Cause we walk by faith and not by sight, into the gray, into the